I love hearing tips and ideas and stories from older generations because I absolutely believe that history repeats itself. So if you can learn from history, hopefully you won't repeat the same pattern. And I believe in saving money, there are just general principles that can stand the test of time. And our grandparents could have passed these along to us. So in today's video, I'm going to talk about 17 of Grandma's frugal living tips that are still relevant in 2024. Now, if you are a grandmother or a great-grandmother, let me know. Put down in the comments below. I want to hear from you. If you could pass along one money-saving tip, one money-saving tip or one piece of advice for the next generation, or the generation currently around that you see kind of flailing about with money issues, put it down in the comments below so that I can read it and so other viewers of this channel can learn from your wisdom. Number 1 is learning about food storage for longevity. How to store your food to make the most of it, to keep it from going bad quicker than it should. You can make sure that your fruits and your vegetables are always separated in different drawers in the refrigerator, because if you put them together, they will make each other ripen quicker. Make sure that you don't store your canned goods directly on a concrete floor, because moisture comes up through concrete and can rust the can. Learning these little tips and tricks to help extend the life of your food will save a lot of money. Number 2, if something looks or feels or is no longer coming out of the top of the tube, meaning you think it is empty, no, do not throw it away. Cut the top off, get into that. They make packaging so difficult these days. I think the intention is so you can't get all of the product, but make a way. Grandma never wasted any drop of anything that was remaining. Number 3, make cookies, cakes, brownies, even bread from scratch. It is actually really, really easy. It's going to be better for you, and you're definitely going to save a lot of money. A lot of people get very intimidated by this, but there are a ton of simple recipes that you can look up on YouTube or on Pinterest to find ways that you can start, see how easy it is, and then continue to do it. I remember the first time I made buttercream. I really was so mad at myself that it took me so long to make buttercream icing because it was so simple and the taste was miles and miles better than a can of frosting. Number 4 is to have a basic clothing repair kit on hand, and this is also just a sewing kit. You can just pick up a really inexpensive one, $5 or under at Walmart, and keep it on hand so that you can make quick repairs to clothing rather than throwing them away. Your button gets a little bit loose, a hem of your pants comes undone. Rather than taking it to a tailor and having it fixed for a lot more money because you just don't have the skill to do it, go on YouTube. Find somebody that you know. Maybe you do have a parent or a grandparent still around that does know how to sew. Go and spend an hour or two and learn the basic stitches. It's going to save you a lot of money in the long run. Number 5 is to eat less meat. Now, I'm not saying not to eat meat. I'm just saying less of it. Meat was not as readily available during the Great Depression era or the time of my grandparents, which, yes, my grandparents were alive and born before and some born during the Great Depression. My grandparents had my father and my mother later on in life, and my parents had me in their late 20s to early 30s, and I am 40. So some people don't believe me, but my grandfather was born in 1911. So I do know that meat was harder to come by and used sparingly. Now you can go to any store and find anything you want wrapped in plastic. You didn't have to do any of the hard work, but it does come at a premium price. So try to do meatless meals. You might start off with a meatless Monday. You might start off using meat as more of a side rather than the main part of a meal. Beans, lentils are some of my most favorite things to use to make meatless meals. I get a lot of questions about recipes that I talk about or meals that I make when I talk about frugal tips here on YouTube. And I get people who say, hey, can you make a video on how to do that? So I was thinking, would you all be interested if I started a weekly or twice a month newsletter where I went into more detail, where I shared recipes that I'd found that worked really well, where I give specific savings tips that maybe I encountered for the week? If that's something that you would be interested in, let me know down in the comments below. It's just an idea I've been tossing around about doing a weekly or twice a month newsletter in order to share more with you than just in our weekly videos here. Number 6 is to make blankets out of clothing that can no longer be repaired. Or you can take jeans and make pot holders. Nothing went to waste during the Great Depression. Things were turned into something else as many times as they could be. I just love the idea of taking clothes, if you have a child or a grandchild, that they've grown out of, and taking the special ones and putting them together to make a quilt. Quilting is something I'm starting to get into, so please, still very novice at it. My daughter picked out some fabric at Hobby Lobby when it was on sale, and so I've started to make her a quilt. And I am completely hand stitching it. I wanted to do a hand stitched quilt. It's just been a goal of mine. I do have a sewing machine, but I remember being younger in elementary school, and these ladies came to our school with this huge quilt, and they allowed the students there to help hand stitch that quilt. It was pulled tight, and we all were able to put a hand stitch in it. And there was just something that made me so excited about this skill that has been around for so long and being able to do it myself. So this is one thing that I'm excited to get into and to get this quilt a little bit further along than it currently is. Number 7 is to make do with what you already have. This is something that is becoming harder to do because it's so easy to just go on Amazon when you think you need something and hit a button and it will be there the next day. As if we can't possibly live without the thing that we just realized 5 minutes ago we needed. Number 8, a long time ago, houses didn't always have overhead lights. This is where I say to turn off those lights and use lamps, use task lighting. I do not like overhead lighting whatsoever. It bothers my eyes. I prefer task lighting anytime I can get it. If I walk into a room and I have to turn the lights on for whatever reason, I turn them off as quickly as I can and use a lamp. You're going to use a lot less electricity this way, and you really don't need it to be that bright if you're not doing anything that involves you seeing something really small, like perhaps threading the needle for that quilt that you're making. Number 9 is to take care of your home as if you are going to live there forever. This isn't as common as it used to be. It used to be that people lived in their homes as long as they could. People didn't trade homes as much as they do now, some more than others. If you take care of that investment, if you take care of the caulk when it gets cracked, around the tub, around the toilet, if you keep the house clean, if you keep it painted when it starts to get faded, you're going to help protect that investment. So if you want to change your mindset and act as if you are going to live there forever, you are going to take better care of that investment and thus make a better return in the end. Number 10 is to take debt off the table. Make it not an option. Grandma didn't have to use debt because it wasn't even a thing during some of their lifetimes. Not having debt so easily available makes you realize what you have, makes you have patience to be able to obtain what you want. The credit card didn't come around until about 1950, so it wasn't as readily available. Not everybody had them. I mean, the thing about debt, think about even if you take out a car loan, by the time you get the car loan paid off, you feel like you need another one. It's a repeating cycle that doesn't stop, so it's best to stop the cycle of debt as soon as you can. Number 11 is to grocery shop less often by having a capsule pantry. Having a pantry full of the things you need to make most meals. Grandma didn't always have an extra vehicle to go to the grocery store or have a grocery store on every corner. So she had to create this capsule pantry that had all the things she would need to make good meals. And usually she would then go back to her backyard and get her fruits and her vegetables to help supplement what she had. Again, I'm going way back here as far as in time, but we can take these lessons that maybe aren't as easy to replicate anymore, having a garden as readily available, but we do have the grocery store more readily available. Creating those capsule pantries, we can take that tip from back then, take it and mold it to fit our needs now. Number 12 is one that gets people giggling because I always called aluminum foil tin foil. My husband said, it's not made out of tin, it is aluminum. But so many people still call it tin foil. So either way, whatever you want to call it, you reusing aluminum foil. We know that Grandma did this. She had the circle cut out that she used to put on top of the pie crust so that the pie crust edge didn't get brown, that she would just wipe off when it came out and reuse it. You can also utilize aluminum foil that's been dirtied up to take and run scissors through it, so cut strips of it off, and sometimes that will actually help sharpen your scissors. Don't throw away. You can definitely wipe off and reuse your aluminum foil, your tin foil. Number 13 is to take care of your clothes similar to the way Grandma did. She often line dried her clothes. If you put clothes in the dryer every single time, that lint that comes out of the dryer, those are clothing fibers that are breaking down from your clothing. She didn't take every time she wore something. If she went to church for a couple of hours, she would come home and hang up that outfit to wear it again. She wore an apron when she was cooking. She always looked put together in decades-old clothing. This clothing would last forever because of how meticulously she took care of it. Number 14 is to use less. Use just a little bit. You are probably using too much of the products you have now and could greatly benefit from reducing it, using the recommended or below amount. For instance, you really don't always need the exact amount of laundry detergent that people put in or that's even recommended. Try using it, cutting it in half, and see if your clothing still comes out as clean. You can also use less shampoo, less conditioner, less items. If you get your hair even more wet, lather up that soap, it will go further. Check out the instructions on things too, because you might not be leaving it on long enough, meaning sprays for your countertop. Let's say you're wiping down your countertop. It usually will say on there, let it sit for a bit. You got to give it a chance to do its job. Number 15 is to conserve on your utilities. Listen, we all know that utilities and so many, everything actually, has gone absolutely through the roof. What can we do about it? We can be sure that we are trying our hardest to conserve energy. You remember the story, right? Mom or dad would yell at the kid, turn the light off. I would always yell back, I'm going back in there. Why do I want to turn it off? Turn it back on. But honestly, just being mindful can save you a ton of money with electricity, making sure you do turn on those lights off when you leave a room, unplugging appliances, using the dryer less. For your water, setting a timer while you're in the shower so you don't mindlessly sit in there for too long. Collect water from the shower that you're using that's just going over your head and down the drain to water your plants. Make sure that you wash full loads of laundry and dishes in the dishwasher. This little bits will help on a daily basis to lower those bills. Number 16, cheap entertainment. It doesn't take much to make it feel like you are living. You don't have to have these extravagant things to always be happening in order to feel and have a fulfilled life. Things like going to the movies, going to an amusement park, going out to eat are very expensive. You can do things at home like games, board games, card games, outdoor games, and anything that you want to put in there. You could have friends over and do a fun family feud night, have movie night at home where you close all the blinds, you turn off all the lights, you have popcorn and candy maybe from the dollar store, and you rent a movie on whatever streaming service you have for $4.99. It's so much less expensive than going to the movie theater with maybe 3 people and buying food and snacks for $60, $70 sometimes, depending upon where you are. Number 17 is the most important, but only about 30% of people actually report doing it. So I continue to say it because it's important. About 70% then of people don't do it, but it's budgeting. Grandma always knew how much money was left. She somehow knew the exact amount of change that was in her change purse. Budgeting and tracking your money, especially now with the fact that everything is, digital in a card form and not cash and coins where it was obvious then. Being able to have a budget written down or in an app and tracking your expenses is one of the fastest guaranteed ways to make sure you are on top of your money and you are not overspending, which gets you into bigger issues with debt. don't forget, and you don't have to be a grandmother to leave me a comment down below about something you think that is a good practice that we need to continue on as far as saving money, or just a general good tip in life. Let me know down in the comments below. Thank you so much. I hope you have a fantastic week, and I look forward to seeing you next weekend for a new video.